More on this now from Seijiro Takeshita. He's a professor of management and information at the University of Shizuoka. Thank you very much for talking to us. Is the dispute, the territorial dispute, likely to be at the top of the agenda as Putin and Abe meet?
Well, yes and no, in the sense that, yes, it will be one of the top agendas, but they both know that this isn't going to be solved right away. So that's one of the reasons why Mr. Abe has suggested that they meet every year. It's the fourth time they meet this year alone, but they know that this isn't going to go that straightforward. Obviously, it's a big ice to be melted. Rather, I think focal point will be on the economic issues the next day. And I think Mr. Putin has also expressed that this is what he would like to emphasize on his visit this time around.
We'll discuss some of the economic deals that might be struck in a moment, but going back to the islands, how are we going to get a resolution to this when the two sides, from an outsider looking in, seem to be such polar opposites on what they want and expect?
Well, unlike the case with China, there are some melting of ice that you can see. For example, Russia has already agreed that they will be giving back 2 of the 4 islands, although Japan claims that they want all 4 islands back right away. Obviously, there is a very big discrepancy in these two, but the good thing is that these things never gets the resolution right away. Obviously, it takes time and basically to build up consensus. So I think it's a good move that they're taking time, and one of the reasons why this has become possible is the long-term reign of Mr. Abe, who are able to communicate and basically negotiate with Mr. Putin and his regime.
Do Abe and Putin have a good relationship then, and how's that going to manifest itself over the next 2 days? What sort of deals are we likely to see struck?
Well, the great thing is that unlike the revolving doors of prime ministers that we used to see in Japan a few years back, since Mr. Abe has been in power, there has been a lot more stability. In other words, it also makes it a lot easier for the negotiation from the Russian side, as they do have confidence that we now have a much more longer-term leading prime minister in Japan. So that certainly was a very, very positive issue. And for that reason, I think there is definitely a positive relationship that's been built by these two gentlemen. And I think these personal ties certainly, I think, is contributing to ward off the ambiguity that Japan is likely to suffer from the likes of the United States and Europe, because we're very sure that we're going to get a lot of ambiguity from these two areas.
So let's talk about some of the geopolitical issues then. Obviously, Donald Trump coming in as the president-elect in the United States. There's the issue with China as well, North Korea in the region. Is there common ground between the two leaders?
Well, Japan certainly is under the umbrella of the United States. Don't get me wrong. It's not that Japan is nudging towards Russia or China. There is absolutely no option of such. But the problem here is that the Japanese would like to reduce the ambiguity factor as much as possible. And I'm sure Mr. Abe is getting a lot of pressure from the Japanese corporation to do so. So at least to mitigate the ambiguity, to have these economic ties, 8 agendas and over 300 issues involved, I think certainly would be a positive issue in midst of all these ambiguity that we're being muddled with right now, possibly with the United States and possibly with Europe in coming 2017.
Okay, Mr. Takeshita, thank you very much for your time.